All right, let's talk about pickleball. The sport that's just everywhere now, right? It seems like every park, every community center has a court. But here's the thing. Behind this massive popularity boom, there's a really interesting and kind of cautionary story that the injury data tells. So let's dive right in and see what the numbers are saying. So just to get a sense of the scale here, we're talking about a massive number of people. Get this, 48.3 million. That's how many adults in the US played pickleball at least once last year. Think about that for a second. That's more than 1 out of every 6 adults in the country. It's huge. And this isn't some fleeting trend. It's not just a flash in the pan. For 3 years in a row, it's been named the fastest growing sport in America. And you can see why, right? It's easy to get into, it's super social, its growth has just been completely explosive. But as you can probably guess, that kind of crazy fast growth, well, it comes with some growing pains. And yeah, this is exactly where the story takes a little bit of a turn. A key study on this puts it perfectly. With more players, you get more injuries. And not just more, but a wider variety of injuries across different age groups. The real kicker, though, the thing that's super interesting, is that the injuries aren't a one-size-fits-all problem. It's a lot more nuanced than that. So how big of an injury boom are we really talking about? Okay, hold on to your paddle for this one. Between 2013 and 2022, pickleball-related visits went up by 2,100%. No, that's not a typo. I'll say it again. 2,100%. That is just an astronomical number. Yeah, so when you see a number like that, you've got to ask the obvious questions, right? Who is getting hurt here? And what exactly is happening on the court that's landing so many people in the hospital? Well, it turns out the answer isn't just one simple story. The data shows this really clear split, a divide in how people are getting hurt. And it pretty much all boils down to one thing: age. So what we see in the research is this kind of tale of two players. You've got two very different profiles. On one hand, there's the senior player, age 65 and over. For them, the biggest risk is injuries from falls. But then you have the younger players, under 65, and they're getting hurt in a totally different way, from all those quick, dynamic, explosive movements the game demands. Okay, so let's get into the injury showdown. We're going to really dig into how age shapes the risks out there on the court. Let's start with the injury itself. The data couldn't be clearer on this. If you're over 65, you are 3 times more likely to get a fracture. 3 times! Now, for younger players, it's a completely different picture. They're almost twice as likely to end up with sprains and strains, those nagging soft tissue injuries. Okay, so what's actually causing these different injuries? Well, for the 65-plus crowd, the main culprit, almost 3 times more often, is a slip, a trip, or a fall. Pretty straightforward. But for the younger crew, it's the game itself, the dynamic movements. We're talking about those sudden stops, the quick lunges. Those are twice as likely to be the reason they get hurt. And that brings us to the where. Which body parts are getting hit? For older players, when they fall, what's the first thing you do? You put your hands out, right? And that's exactly what the data shows: upper body injuries, especially fractures to the wrist or elbow. For the younger players doing all that lunging and pivoting, all that stress goes straight to their lower body. Think ankle sprains and knee strains. Now, if you're a data person, this table really lays it all out. It shows the odds ratios, which is just a fancy way of saying how much more likely something is for one group versus the other. And you can see it plain as day. For older players, the odds of fractures and falls are almost 3 times higher. For younger players, the odds of sprains from dynamic movements are about double. The story the data tells is just incredibly consistent. All right, smarter, safer play. How to protect yourself no matter your age. Look, after all that, it's easy to think, wow, maybe I should hang up my paddle. But that's not the point at all. The goal here isn't to scare anyone. It's to give you a roadmap so you can play smarter and safer. So how do we do that? Well, some things are just non-negotiable for everybody. It doesn't matter how old you are. A real structured warm-up is key. Getting the right supportive shoes, not just any old sneakers. Working on proper technique. And, super important, strengthening your core. Your core is like the foundation for every move you make. But now let's get specific. For players over 65, we know the biggest risk is a fracture from a fall, so your prevention strategy has to target that head-on. First, you've got to prioritize balance training. Second, strengthen your upper body and wrists, the parts that take the impact. And third, and this might sound weird, but you can actually learn how to fall correctly to minimize the damage. It's a real skill. Now, for you younger players, your game plan is totally different. Your risk is from those explosive moves, so your body needs to be ready for that kind of impact. Step 1, strengthen that lower body. We're talking squats, lunges, the works. Step 2, mix in some agility and plyometric drills. That's what preps your body for those quick direction changes. And finally, step 3, work on your lower body flexibility. It's crucial. And really, this is the main takeaway. The goal here is not to make you afraid to get on the court. It's about playing smarter so you can stay on the court for years and years to come. It's all about knowledge. When you understand your specific risk, you can train in a way that protects you. And that means you get to keep playing this awesome game for the long haul. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about next time you head out to play. Are you training for the game, or are you training to prevent your injury? It's something to think about for sure.